Welcome to the Pearls of Wisdom podcast, brought to you by Southern Jewelry News and Jewelry Store Marketers. Hello, everyone. This is Guy with Jewelry Store Marketers, again here at the Atlanta Jewelry Show. And I'm here with Chuck Kaler with Anthony Jewelers, and today...
And Southern Jewelry News, Mid-America Jewelry News.
And make sure you check out Southern Jewelry News, hashtag Lisa's the best. And today we're with Ross Wesdorp, Jewelcraft here, and welcome. Thanks for joining.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
So, Ross, one of the reasons I wanted to have you on for this was bench jewelers are becoming a rare commodity.
Absolutely.
And trade shops are becoming an even rarer commodity. And oddly enough, Ross and I have been competitors with one another for 20 plus 30 years or something to that effect. But, you know, it's a big industry, but it's a small industry, and we're all friends. And
Yep.
so what I'd like everybody to know is what Jewelcraft does, because I have a trade shop, and they're impressive to me. So tell us about Jewelcraft first.
So Jewelcraft is a family-owned and operated business. My great-grandfather started it back in 1947, and we try to be a one-stop shop for retail jewelry stores. We help with the work that they don't want to do, they don't have the time to do, or the equipment to do. So that annoying invisible set job, or the job that you just keep kicking to the back of your pan and keep putting off, and now the customer's getting angry and trying to figure out why it's not done, that's the job you just put in a box, send to somebody like myself, and we get it done and ship it right back out.
Yeah, and if you send it to me, I'm going to send it to Ross, because I don't want to do it either. But now, tell us about the size of the company. Y'all are somewhere around Cincinnati, but not in Cincinnati.
We're in northern Kentucky. We're right outside of Cincinnati, Ohio. So the Cincinnati airport is actually one exit over from our facility. We have about 270 people just doing work for the trade. About 200 of those are bench jewelers or polishers of some kind. And then the remaining ones are data entry, quality control, and all of that stuff. So one of the things that kind of makes us a little bit different in what we do is that we break everybody down. So our stone setters don't have torches. They don't know how to size rings. They don't know really much about polishing. All they do is they cut seats, they bright cut, they set stones, and then they pass it to the next person who just polishes.
I remember when your dad, 15, 20 years ago, I'm talking to your dad about that, and that just befuddles me because as a bench jeweler, I kind of do the whole job.
Right.
And y'all don't, but somebody sends you a job, it's going to go through a lot of different people's hands.
Yeah.
So kind of what's the process so people will know, I guess the quality control that stays with the piece.
So we do a number of different things as far as that goes. And one of the reasons that we like this stepped out thing is that everybody's in charge of checking the person's work before them. So if a sizing job is running through and we have somebody that's cutting and filing the seam, well, the next person's job is going to be to polish that up and to make sure that there's no pits and no porosity and no open seams.
In the work that you did.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There might be
the work
pits
that you did.
Yeah, there might be pits in the ring.
Yeah, that's true. So then if they see it, they kick it right back to that jeweler again so that they can fix it there and on the spot, and it doesn't go all the way through. So we've got all of those little checks kind of going throughout the process. We've got stone tighteners that are in the middle of the sizing line. So the ring's already been bent, it's already been welded back together, soldered back together, and it goes to someone who tightens all the stones before it even gets polished. That way we're not losing stones while buffing the ring.
Yeah. And so how many bench jewelers do y'all have approximately?
We're at about 200 between bench jewelers and polishers.
Man, that's a lot of bench jewelers. That's a lot of work. And
It is.
how many jobs would you say y'all do in a month there?
Oh, in a month, we're probably doing somewhere between 40 and 50,000 jobs.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever lost any?
There's, of course, been the occasional one that unfortunately has happened. But
yeah, we've all got that one. I'm just I'm looking for one right now. And I know within about a 50 square foot area where it was, because I know where I had it last, and I know where I didn't leave the room, and it's in here somewhere. I'm just going to pick something up. But I just think for that amount of jobs, it's amazing that and like we were talking about on another podcast and with precious metals, that there's no waste in precious metals. And it's the same thing with jewelry, that we're all very careful. We've all got our own systems to make sure that the job that came in is the same job that goes out.
Yeah. So a couple of different things. First of all, on the the missing one, we had one where it just got caught in the buff and it flung.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, it's here. We have a 50,000 square foot facility, but where did it fly to?
Yeah.
And we ended up finding it on top of one of the AC ducts in the rafters.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
And it's just those little things that can happen, and it's unfortunate when they do, but they are few and far between.
Yeah. But Guy, something you don't know, just because as bench jewelers, that once that piece flies out of your hands, everything stops. Because no matter what it is you're doing, because you're like, I'll look for it later. You start to do something, you're like, wait, hang on, it's gotta be. And so everything stops, and if you're lucky, you get your shop completely cleaned and scrubbed before you find it. Because if you find it quickly, then your shop stays a mess.
Right.
But the only way, you start putting stuff away.
And you do that whole, okay, so I think it whizzed past my ear.
Yeah.
And you're like, it's on the left side, trying to figure that out.
But now y'all do something with class rings, or then I saw a casting up there.
We do a lot of manufacturing as well. So we have a tool and die department that we do private label manufacturing on. So we'll actually make metal molds for plastic injection or for die striking. And then we'll run corporate awards, class rings, whatever somebody needs if they want a small run of something at their independent jewelry store, but they want to make it look big and compete with some of the big guys out there.
I saw that sprued up tree of all of those. They look like corporate rings. They look like Super Bowl rings.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, so those came straight out of a metal mold that we CNC'd, and you can get some really nice detail on all of those metal molds. It runs production really quick, and then we're casting in just about every precious metal that you want, and we're doing all of that private label. So we don't have a line that we manufacture or anything. It's just somebody coming to me and saying, hey, I got a project. What can you do to help me?
So if you're a jewelry store, say you take in 20 or 30 jobs a week, is Jewelcraft a fit for them if they find themselves needing a shop?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We try to work with everybody, big and small. It really doesn't make a difference to us. We have this thing where there's a customer that they were sending us like 70 jobs a year, and they were sending all 70 jobs in July, every year in July. And I'd call them and go like, what's going on? Are you mad at me? And they're like, no, I'm mad at my jeweler, and I'm trying to make sure he understands that I have other options. So they were just boxing up the work, and they're like, about once a year I have to, reset everything.
That happened to me back in the 80s. I came in one day, and all of a sudden my work box was empty, and it was just a, hey, we have other options here. And I tell you what, it straightened me out pretty quick, and I became very efficient for another 9-10 months.
Yeah, another year until they had to do it again. That's exactly right.
So sorry, bench jewelers, we're kind of a weird lot. So but now y'all also do, the biggest thing in the bench jeweler world is we hate invisible sets, and y'all actually repair them.
Yeah, unfortunately we do.
Yeah.
We don't like to do it, but it is a hole in the market, and it's an area that's got to be filled, and that's something that we do have the skill set to do, at least most of the time. Some of them are a little more intricate and can be not built as well as what they should have been initially, but we can fill in on those as well.
How do you put any kind of warranty on that? Because the reason it fell apart in the first place because it wasn't built correctly.
Yeah, quite frankly, we don't. We put a warranty on all of our stuff that's about 90 days. However, we don't on invisible sets, because if it fell out, there's another one that's going to fall out.
Yeah. It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Now, I will say we don't manufacture them. We get that question a lot, like, hey, could you remake this? And I'm like, no, there's already enough of these in the world. I'm not going to add another one.
Yeah. Well, now, how would somebody find Jewelcraft if they wanted to look for your company?
So we go to a lot of different trade shows. We're members of RJO, IJO. We do both of the Atlanta shows. We also do JCK Las Vegas and the Centurion show. And then in addition to that, we're always available by phone or email. Our website is just jewelcraft.com, and we're happy to help with anything you need.
Good. Well, Ross, thanks for coming in and telling
pleasure.
everybody about your company.
Thanks for listening to the Pearls of Wisdom Jewelry Podcast. For more information about the show, please visit southernjewelrynews.com/podcast, brought to you by Southern Jewelry News and Jewelry Store Marketers. Make sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you can catch the next show. See you then.